It's Friday and we've got a beautiful slate of baseball. This is Krusty Case here from the Gold Boys Network, coming to you with a slate preview for June 7th. Before we hop into this one, I want to remind everyone you can get all these odds at FanDuel Sportsbook. But let's not waste any more time. Let's hop right into this slate. So the first game on our slate is the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Detroit Tigers. As of right now, ESPN shows it is undecided, but I do believe it'll be Freddie Peralta against Reese Olson. So if that is the case, and we do see Freddie Peralta versus Reese Olson here, I do like the first 5 under. I like both these pitchers a lot. They've both been really good this season, so I like them to keep these lineups in check for sure. Obviously, if it isn't Freddie Peralta and it's somebody else, then that would probably change things here. But for me, in this one, I like the first 5 under. I like this thing to be low scoring, likely 0-0, 1-0 type deal after 5. In terms of Ks, I like Freddie Peralta strikeouts here a lot. This Tigers team overall, they've been better at home, so I'm not like running to back Freddie here. But it's just a thing where like Freddie obviously is like an elite strikeout guy. So against a team like the Tigers, I think he can find success even against a team who may be a little more K adverse at home. Our next one is the Minnesota Twins taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is Joe Ryan versus Mitch Keller. For me in this one, I give him the Twins here. I know they're on the road, but as we've talked about before, Joe Ryan on the road has just been a different pitcher. He's been really, really good. Gets a really great matchup here, honestly, because this Pirates team, they really were actually hitting pretty well in that Dodgers series. Overall, their bats have been pretty quiet. So I think Joe Ryan can come in and kind of shut down whatever kind of momentum they were having. And overall, Mitch Keller's been a lot better. And, I really do expect him to pitch relatively well here as well. But I think the Twins pull this one out. It could be a low-scoring game. I wouldn't be surprised. But at the end of the day, I think Twins get the win here. And I like Joe Ryan's strikeouts. I'm not sure what the line's going to be at yet. But this Pirates team, at one point, they were a lot more K-adverse at home. That has came and went. They're equally as bad home and away. So, for me here, I like Joe Ryan Ks. I like the Twins on the money line. The next one is the Atlanta Braves taking on the Washington Nationals. This is Chris Sale versus Jake Irvin. For me in this one, I see the Braves at -200 on the road, and it's just tough to get behind right now, as we've kind of talked about a few times. Jake Irvin's been really good, actually, for his Nationals team. Definitely been one of the most consistent starters. Now with Trevor Williams out, I'm expecting him to have to step up a bit here. So I like the Nationals plus 1.5. I think they keep this one close, maybe even win it. Like I said, Jake Irvin's been really, really good. And this Braves team, kind of scuffling right now. They're right around league average, and this is a spot where I think you need to jump on them here. The bats have been pretty quiet. So give me the Nats plus 1.5. The next one is the Baltimore Orioles taking on Tampa Bay Rays. This is Cole Irvin versus Aaron Savale. If I'm not mistaken, we saw this matchup last week, these same 2 pitchers. Now they're in Tampa. I'm going to regrettably back the Rays here. I like, if I'm going to back Tampa, it's always got to be at home. They just play better at the Trop, in my opinion. It's a tough place for teams on the road to go in and play when they don't play there normally. The batter's eye is a little goofy. So I like the Rays on the money line here. Definitely one of my least favorite games on the slate, but that's where I'd go. Baltimore, as we all know, been really crushing pretty much righty and lefty, but on the road, definitely not as consistent. So having to travel to, because I believe they were in Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. This is just a tough travel spot, truthfully. I like them. I like Tampa to get the win here. Like I said, it's a tough spot. You played in Toronto, and then you got to travel all the way to Tampa. That's a long flight. I know they played earlier in the day, which I guess that helps a bit, but still, it's going to be a long flight. It's going to be a long day. Tired bats, tired legs, whatever you want to call it. I think Tampa steals this one in the first game of the series. Our next one is probably one of the ones that everybody wants to talk about. It is the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the New York Yankees. This is Yoshi Yamamoto versus Cody Poteet. The Yankees -115 on the money line here. I had a hard time in this game because Yoshi has been really good in my opinion, but overall I think he's had some pretty easy matchups. So I'm really reluctant to jump on the Dodger wagon here with the way they've been, but I'm also not really running to the window to back Poteet either. But I actually think that's where I'm going to go, truthfully. Yankees money line, I know it's not going to be popular because, like I said, you're going to see the Dodgers at a playable money line with Yoshi out there, and I think a lot of people are going to jump on that. Excuse me. And I get it. But for me in this one, Poteet looked really good in his last start, and this Dodgers team, they're hitting today currently. I think they had 4 runs last time I saw. But overall, they've just been super inconsistent. So, going into Yankee Stadium, maybe maybe the Yankees can take advantage and jump on them here in the first game of the series. I mean, I like it. I like their bats a lot. And like I said, Yoshi's been good, but I'm also a bit worried because, in my opinion, if you look at his starts, pick out the good teams that he's faced. Good luck, and that's kind of my point here. So Yankees money line for me. It's not going to be a popular pick. I know that for a fact. I think they get this one. I think they get game one. Our next one is Chicago Cubs taking on the Cincinnati Reds. This is Justin Steele versus Nick Lodolo. So Lodolo, both these guys just pitched against these teams. Lodolo didn't look, he pitched 6 innings. Didn't have his strikeout stuff working in the last one. Justin Steele pitched in that rain game on the Saturday against Hunter Green. So I would like to say we're going to see a different Justin Steele here. I'm going to go with the Cubs on the money line. I just like Justin Steele. Like I said, in that last game he pitched, it rained the entire time. He didn't have a lot of grip. You could tell he didn't have a lot of grip and just didn't have his stuff. Simply because of the rain. It was a brutal game to play, and I'm actually surprised they even played it. This one obviously shouldn't have the issue with the rain, and I like Justin Steele to pitch a lot better here. I think he could shut down this Reds team personally. They jumped on him in the last one, but I think a lot of that had to do with just not having grip, truthfully.
Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the Gold Boys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the Gold Boys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
The next one is the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Miami Marlins. This is Logan Allen versus Ryan Weathers. So for me in this one, it's a tough spot personally, but I'm going to go with the Marlins. They're at home. I like Ryan Weathers a lot more than I thought I would, truthfully. He's pitching really well this season, and I like that to continue. Logan Allen on the other side, it's a guy who I don't believe he's very good. I think I've talked about this a few times, but I do believe that this Marlins team, with the way they're hitting, they're not really hitting lefties a ton right now, but they are doing a good job making contact. So ultimately, I think they can get some runs here. Again, a game where I think it could be relatively low scoring because I just don't love either of these offenses in these particular matchups. But I like the Marlins to get this one done. Like I said, Ryan Weathers has just been really good. I think ultimately he gets the win here. This Marlins team picks up a win. Our next one is the San Francisco Giants taking on the Texas Rangers. This is Logan Webb versus Michael Lorenzen. I know we're getting Logan Webb on the road here, but I'm going to go with the Giants. I just don't trust this Texas offense. Continue to be inconsistent, continue to just not have good at-bats. They're not seeing a lot of pitches. Against Logan Webb, a guy who heavily reliant on the sinker, I believe we're going to see a ton of ground balls, ton of weak contact. Ultimately, Logan Webb's going to pitch deep here, and the Giants should be able to get a run or two off of Michael Lorenzen, ultimately winning this game. The next one is the Boston Red Sox taking on the Chicago White Sox. This is Cooper Criswell versus Garrett Crochet. And if you don't know by now, system play, White Sox in the first 5. We're going to take them. They're actually minus 110 on the money line this time. So we're going to take the White Sox first 5 money line, backing Crochet against this moose shit Red Sox team. They can't hit lefties. We continue to see it. We just saw a Fried did to them. What do you have, 13 Ks, 12 Ks? So it's just a really good spot for their lineup here, for Crochet here to just mow through this lineup. And, you've seen Crochet. He's been outstanding this season, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Advanced metric-wise, I believe he's top 2, maybe even number 1 in every advanced metric at this point. But he's just been really good. So give me the White Sox in the first 5 here. I think they get it done. Do they get a run off of Criswell? I sure as hell hope so, because I'm not looking for a void after 5 innings. But I like the White Sox here in the first 5. The next one is the Seattle Mariners taking on the Kansas City Royals. This is Bryce Miller versus Daniel Lynch. I'm going to roll with Kansas City here. They're a dog at home. Daniel Lynch hasn't been great, but this Seattle team continues to make bad lefties look like absolute all-stars. They're not hitting left-handed pitching well. They're striking out a ton. We just saw them make J.P. Sears look like prime Randy Johnson. So, what's Daniel Lynch going to do? Might as well do the same thing, right? Bryce Miller, a guy who throws the ball in the zone a lot. And I think against this Kansas City team who's really good at putting the ball in play it's going to be a really tough spot for him. So I like Kansas City to get some runs. Ultimately, Daniel Lynch, I think, does enough to hold the Seattle team in check. Biggest concern here is obviously the Kansas City bullpen. They have been absolutely terrible, but I like Kansas City ultimately to put up some runs, get this one done for us as a small dog at home. The next one is the Colorado Rockies taking on St. Louis Cardinals. This is Austin Gomber versus Lance Lynn. So for me here, I'm going to go with the over. I don't love backing the Rockies offense ever, but I feel like it's a good spot. Lance Lynn, we all know, he's going to give up a lot of hard contact. Definitely susceptible to giving up a bomb or two. Austin Gomber, not great. He's actually better at home at Coors, which I think is hilarious. So on the road, I like the Cardinals to get to him here. They are hitting a lot better as of late. Definitely a more competent lineup lately. So give me runs. Total's at 8.5. Feels a bit low to me. I think this game gets upwards of 10 relatively easy. The next one is the Houston Astros taking on the Los Angeles Angels. This is Framber Valdez versus Griffin Canning. Man, I could not want to back a team less than I want to back the Houston Astros at any point in the season. But Griffin Canning is absolutely terrible. Framber hasn't looked great either. I personally am not willing to lay the minus 185 for Houston because I don't think Framber is worth that price, especially on the road. So I'm going to go with the Astros team total here. I'd like them to get to Canning. Canning, as I've talked about numerous times, the breaking stuff just isn't there this season. He's not missing bats the way he was, ultimately giving up a lot more hard contact. I think this Houston team can get the bats going, put up some runs here, give Framber the run support he needs to get the win. And I do think Houston wins, but like I said, I'm just not willing to put money on it. Framber has not looked good this season, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you to lay a minus 185 or take them on the run line because personally I don't trust you to do that right now. The next one is the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the San Diego Padres. This is Brandon Pfaadt versus Michael King. I'm going to roll with the Arizona Diamondbacks as a dog on the road. I'm not a big Michael King believer. He's looked a lot better as of late, and that's awesome. But I like this Diamondbacks team a lot. I wish they were hitting better, but I think they can get this one done. Brandon Pfaadt has impressed me quite a bit this season. Obviously, it's a tall task going against this Padres lineup, but they've just been so inconsistent that, they're not going to scare me, and they're certainly not going to scare Brandon Pfaadt or the Diamondbacks in this spot either. These guys, the bats aren't hitting. We're unsure if Machado is going to play or not because he did get hurt a couple games ago. So, Machado-less Padres team. Obviously, Tatis really not hitting a ton right now either. I think it's just a great spot for the Diamondbacks to take advantage with one of their better pitchers on the bump. Brandon Pfaadt and the Diamondbacks to get the win here. In terms of Ks, Michael King, if you want to take a look at it, I couldn't talk you off. The Diamondbacks on the road, in particular, their swing metrics are really, really bad. So most of the season, they've been pretty K adverse. But lately, they're up to about 24% versus right-handed pitching. And on the road, it's even worse, around 26%. But just in terms of like the contact ratings and stuff, when they're on the road, they plummet considerably worse than they are at home, which, it's not too uncommon, but it's kind of alarming, truthfully. So Michael King strikeouts, I think they're in play here. But I do like the Diamondbacks to ultimately get the win. Our next one, and the last one on the slate, is the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Oakland Athletics. This is Chris Bassett versus Hogan Harris. Hogan Harris is a guy who the Athletics are kind of just using because they don't have a choice. They've had a lot of injuries to the rotation, so Hogan Harris is just kind of the guy who it fell into his lap, more or less. He hasn't been great, hasn't looked terrible. He's just been kind of there, truthfully. It's an interesting spot because Toronto, they have to travel. They're obviously leaving Toronto, travel to Oakland. It's a long flight. They do get to play late, though, so I guess that's a good thing. But I guess when you're thinking in terms of time zones, it'll be a late game for them being from Toronto. So I actually do want to lean Oakland here. I think Toronto's only minus 135 on the money line, so the plus 1.5 isn't playable or a play that I would consider giving to anybody. So I'm going to roll with Oakland on the money line. This is a terrifying bet. I looked at this game a lot, tried to figure out a way to back Toronto, tried to figure out a way to back Oakland, and I just ultimately think that the value here lies with Oakland. A lot of it has to do with the spot, truthfully. Like I said, just a brutal travel spot. In Toronto, as we've seen with these bats, they can very easily go quiet. We've seen it way too many times with this team. And Oakland's a scrappy team. Bassett, I think he returned to Oakland once or twice last season. But ultimately, going back to Oakland, we know his arsenal. He's got like 8 different pitches. But, he gives up contact, gives up some hits. He's going to have some guys on base. And this Oakland team is a scrappy team, especially at home. So I like Oakland on the money line here. Again, probably not a popular pick for a lot of people, but I think they can steal the win here. I think they can get game one of this series solely because of the spot. Like I said, I think there's going to be some tired legs, tired arms, whatever you want to call it. This Toronto team is going to be tired, and you're going to see it. They're going to be a little flat. Hey guys, I just want to give a quick reminder that new users can bet $5 at FanDuel on any of the bets in this video and win $150 in bonus bets if the bet wins. Now let's get back to the bets. That does conclude our slate, though. If you guys do me a favor, drop a like, drop a comment. Get me a sunshade so I don't have to deal with whatever this is anymore. But before we sign off, I will give you guys my 3 best plays. Number 1 is going to be the Chicago White Sox first 5 money line. I obviously love that play. It's like a system play with Crochet. Number 2, we are going to roll with the first 5 under for Milwaukee and the Tigers. Obviously, pending that's actually Freddie Peralta. And the last one is going to be the Giants on the money line on the road to Texas, back in Logan Webb. As always, you can get all of my official plays at goldboys.com. If you have a gambling problem, dial 1-800-GAMBLER. Thank you, guys.